All right, let's talk about asynchronous JavaScript. What the hell that means? Let me present you a problem. Imagine I have a function, do stuff one. Yeah, semantics of this workshop will be completely pointless, probably. Oh no, actually, let me try to simulate a more realistic scenario. So, for instance, um, I got a function call get scores, and the function will do something. I got another function called get users. Yeah, let me move get users function on top because of no particular reason, and then effectively get users will return something after a period of time. So you know in JavaScript we can use set timeout. So set timeout will essentially delay the execution of that function, of that inner function, 500 milliseconds. Yeah? So after 500 milliseconds, whatever I do here will be executed. Let me add a note, guys. So on the last week, we talked about higher order functions. I think that was on Thursday, right? I think something I refer wasn't completely correct. So I was referring, or let me simplify the problem. You remember we play with some example like that: sum a and then b, and then we did return a plus b. So then eventually somewhere we did sum 4, 5, and then 2. Can anybody tell me what will this snippet return, guys? It will return 7. Thank you, Ian. That's correct. So that's what we saw in the last week, right? Something I didn't refer to be completely precise. Something I didn't do correctly, and that's my fault. So sorry about that. Is I referred to function b, which is the callback. Yeah? I refer to it as the higher order function. That's not correct. That's not correct. The higher, to be precise, the higher order function is the sum function. Yeah? So it's the parent one, the root one. So the root one is the one that contains the other one. Yeah? So what is the higher order function? Is it b? No, it's not b. It's sum. Yeah? So a higher order function is a function that deals with another function inside of it. That's why it's called higher order, because it's one level above, yeah, if you accept the expression. Likewise, we also saw the example of a function returning another function. Yeah, so we show something like that. So can anybody tell me what will this expression return? Oh, sorry, that's a bit stupid, right? I wanted to pass an n here. So what will this expression return? 12, that's correct, because n is 4. Yeah, so this is what we saw in the last week. If that sounds like Chinese, yeah, guys, sorry, I'm not going to explain that again. So please watch the workshop we recorded on the last week. And of course, if you got any questions, come back either to me or to Esteban on Slack. Yeah? So yeah, so even though we already learned that, once again, my fault here was to refer to this return function as the higher order function. That's not correct. That's not correct. So the higher order function again is sum. Yeah. So that's the function that contains another function. So once again, long story short, guys, the higher order function is the parent one, not the child one. Yeah. This is just it's something very academic, but I thought it was important to really remark that. Yeah. Go. Yes. Go for it. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. That's what we've done. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. So you mean I got another function hello, and then I use hello here? No, 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 because there is no
where is the hierarchy? There is no hierarchy between sum and hello. Yeah, they are completely independent functions. One can call, so sum can call hello, hello may call sum on the other way around. Yeah, so they play at the same level. They are not none of them is above the other one. Yeah, so hello and sum they are on the same level. So to be completely precise, higher order function is, as you said, Adam, a function that receives another function as the argument, or a function that returns another function. Because then the hierarchy is pretty obvious. Yeah, the hierarchy is pretty obvious. We cannot use that function outside, so that return statement belongs to this function somehow. Go for it, Minji. Yeah, let's do it. Wait. Let's do it. So I have a function, um, and that function returns another function. Yeah. That's actually a good point. Look, you got a function sum that returns another function that returns another function. So we could do something like that, right? What will this function, let me complete that, return a plus b plus c. What will this function return, Minji? That's correct. That returns 12, yeah? A is 3, B is 4, C is 5. So once we call them all, eventually we'll return 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is 12, as you've said. So that's interesting. So how many higher order functions do we have here, Minji? That's correct. That's correct. We got the sum function. Why is this a higher order function? Because it returns another function. And likewise, this function is also a higher order function. Why? Can you tell me why the highlighted function is a higher order function? Exactly, because it returns another function. Is that final function a higher order function, Minji? No, because it doesn't return any function. It doesn't receive any function as the argument. Yeah. Does it make sense? All right. Anything else, guys, about higher order functions? Anyone else, guys, apart from Ian? Cool. Thank you very much. All right. So after clarifying that, and once again, guys, trust me, you won't fully understand higher order functions until you play with them for a few hours. So make sure you go to DevTools and you play with them, or like Adam said before, you go to your playground project and you play with them. It's pretty much the same thing, yeah. So now let's create a function called get user, and then we got another function called get score. Yeah. So as I was mentioning before, set timeout can run some piece of code after a period of time. So for instance, let's play a bit with an example. Console.log. Here is the user. You see, I'm simulating because you are. I think everybody now is working or has completed the front-back integration. So you've been playing with requests from the front end to fetch the list of TV shows. So you've been playing with these things, right? So when you use fetch, essentially you are triggering a request to the backend, and that request may take a few seconds. Yeah. What happens if you're on the Jubilee line, entering the tube? The network may be very poor, so the request may take some time to complete, right? So now get the score after, I don't know, after 500 milliseconds. So here is the score. So now if we do get user and then we do get score, something like that. So first of all, how many higher order functions you identify? Which ones? That's correct. Exactly. That's brilliant. That's fantastic, Panos. You got that, guys? So set timeout.
Why set timeout is a higher order function? Because it receives another function as the argument. You see? And when that inner function, that callback function, will be executed? In this particular case, after 1 second. On the second use case scenario, the callback function will be automatically invoked by JavaScript after half a second. So I wanted to add, yeah, go for it. If I'm calling get user after this, yep, yes. So you want to do that? Yeah, we'll see that. We'll see that in a minute. That's actually the content of the workshop panel. So yeah, well, that's actually my eventual use case scenario. So for now, imagine that we got two separate functions. They are not related at all. I would love to add some breakpoints, but unsurprisingly, Google Chrome is not helping today. So let me try to add a new snippet and see if I can deal with that. So let's see if it works. Yeah, it looks like by creating a new snippet, I can add some breakpoints. Look, guys, I got actually look. Let's make it a bit more complicated. So let's see who wants 2 points on the board challenge this week. So easy peasy, guys. I got 1, 2, 6 breakpoints, and I want you to tell me, unsurprisingly, what's the execution order. So does anyone wants to start? Okay, let's go for it, Minji. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Who else wants to participate? I'm not saying if Minji is right or wrong yet. Yeah, it's just her proposal. Panos, I think you wanted to participate as well, if I'm right. Okay. What about Dan, Ian? We also have Adam, Ebrima. All right, Ebrima and Ian, Dan. Mm-hmm. 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 So essentially, you agree with everybody else. I don't know. You tell me. All right. So Dan and Ebrima, what do you think, guys? Okay, and Dan. Okay, that's fantastic, guys. That's fantastic. I'm very happy. I'm very happy about that because you are actually right. Brilliant. So Minji gets 2 points because she was the first one on providing an answer. So why Minji is right? Well, I mean, first of all, we start on line number 14, easy peasy. We call the get user function. So we definitely stop here on the set timeout, but we don't jump to the line number 4 yet because that's asynchronous. You see, guys, this piece of highlighted code is happening after 1 second. After 1 second. Does that mean that JavaScript will wait, will stop everything? Clearly not. And that's a very vital principle when talking about JavaScript. JavaScript doesn't block anything. So some processes, some threads, even though they are not threads technically speaking, but some sort of
yeah, iterations may take a while to complete, but that doesn't mean that the language is going to stop for you. No, 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 no. I mean, everything else will continue running. And that essentially gives us a lot of potential because we can run multiple processes in parallel. Yeah, you see, get user and get score. These two methods are triggered in parallel somehow, which gives us a lot of power. Yeah, because we can optimize processes by whatever. Yeah. However, at the same time, it makes everything a bit more complicated. As we'll see in a minute, what happens if we want to synchronize them? What happens if we want to run get score after we run get user? We'll see that in a minute. But before going that far, let's try to prove why Minji was right. So get user, we stop on the set timeout, fantastic. That won't run yet, so JavaScript will continue. Get the score, so get the score is here, the same process, yeah? So it will stop on line number 9, and then it will wait, so it will continue all the way down. So if there were more stuff here, JavaScript will continue all the way down, right? And eventually, which method will be completed first? Get the score, or sorry, which console log will be displayed first? Here's the score, or here's the user? Line 10, that's correct, yeah, because that takes half a second, and the other one takes 1 second. Let's see if we can run the snippet. Oh, cool, it works, can't believe that. Yeah, so get user line 14, then you see, stops on line number 3, then it will go all the way down to line number 15. It will go now to line number 9. And now pay attention, guys, it's going to be subtle. But once I resume the script again, it will wait for half a second. So the green bar will disappear for half a second. Pay attention, guys, because this is going to happen very quickly. And after half a second, it will stop on line number 10. Pay attention. 1, 2, 3. Wait. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. All right. Oh, wait. You see? Where is that console log? Did I... Oh, you see? You saw what happened? That console log is not displayed. Wait a minute. Let me remove the breakpoints. Maybe I did something wrong. Can you see any typo? I don't think. I think I copy and paste everything, right? Console log. Here's the score. Where is the other console log? Let me run it again. Oh yeah, so that DevTools is completely fucked again. You see? So now there is a very basic way to determine when DevTools is working or not. I'm running the same snippet again, and now nothing gets displayed, right? So yeah, DevTools. All right, so let me run it again and see if I can get something. No, it's not working. It's not working, unfortunately. Let me create a new one. This happens, guys. Hopefully, within the next few days, I'll show you a different way of testing your snippets, because to be honest, that's a bit frustrating. Yeah, because sometimes you don't know if it doesn't work because of your fault or because of DevTools' fault. Yeah, that's completely bullshit, right? So nothing is now working. So debugger, see if I can force it to stop. You see, it's ignoring me end to end. What else can we do? All right, so I'm going to copy everything first of all, and then I'm going to close DevTools, and then I'm going to open incognito just in case I got any extension creating any troubles. Yeah, I click inspect again. And then here you go. Then I go back to my snippets view under the sources tab, and then I select the snippets on the left hand side. Let me create a new snippet just in case. All right, and then let's run it again. I got the theory. Let's see if it works first of all. You see now it works. And that proves how bullshit sometimes DevTools is, because I just copy and paste everything and now suddenly it works again. I got the theory that DevTools struggles a lot sometimes with breakpoints. So as soon as you add breakpoints, nothing works anymore, right? So for today, I'll try to be extra careful with my breakpoints. As I said,
before the end of the bootcamp, I'll show you a different way of debugging using Visual Studio Code, yeah, which hopefully will be a bit more consistent. So, but that's a different story. That's probably for tomorrow, ideally. All right, but however, you see, even though I don't want to risk the snippet again, that the here is the score runs before the here is the user. But now my question is, imagine that we want to connect these two methods because of whatever reason. Imagine that the flow is as follows. So first, get the user ID, and then afterwards, get the score of that user. That's a classic coding workflow. Yeah. First of all, imagine that you land on your profile page. So first of all, I want to know who you are, right? I got the user ID on the URL. I mean, you've been dealing with similar problems because you got on Coldflix, you got the TV show ID or the movie ID on the URL. So that's the same problem. Yeah. I got your user ID, first of all, and then once I got the user ID, I want to get the score of that user. So how can we orchestrate that? Let's pay attention. On the get user method, I can pass a callback function. So then after 1 second, I can invoke it passing the user ID. So here I'm resolving the method by returning the user ID. So now, can anybody figure out how can I complete the problem? I want to call get score once get user is completed. Can anyone tell me how to complete that problem? How we do that, Ian? No, I don't want to do underneath callback. Out here. Yeah, I got two functions and I want to orchestrate them somehow. So once again, guys, I want to call get user, and only after get user minutes to retrieve the user ID, I want to pass it to the get score method. So here you can receive user ID. Here is the score for user ID, whatever the user ID is. Okay? So I want to display 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here as part of this console log. No one? Not even with another 2 points on the board challenge? I mean, technically speaking, you know that already. You know that getUser is now a higher order function because getUser receives as the argument a function that we are going to invoke eventually. So how we deal with that here on line number 14? Okay. Like that. Like that. With the user ID, like that. Like that. That's interesting. This is not going to work, Adam, but I like that at least you are trying, right? I think this is very valuable. So why this is not going to work? Well, first of all, so get a score. Yeah? So get a score receives one argument. So what's your argument? Is whatever get user returns. Can anybody tell me what getUser returns? That's not correct, Adam. That's not correct. That's not correct neither. That's not correct neither. Let's focus on lines 3, 4, and 5. Do you see any single return statement? No. So what the getUser function returns? Nothing. Undefined. Undefined. If I call getUser, it will return undefined because there is nothing. There is no return statement. I'm not doing return number 6. There is nothing. So how do we deal with the problem? Well, first of all, if we want to call getUser and then getScore, so first things first, we call getUser because that's our first step, yeah? First of all, we want the user, and then we'll get the score out of that user. But now, how many arguments getUser receives? 1, correct. What type of data that single argument is? It's a function, right? It's a function. You see, I'm calling getUser, and then I'm passing a callback function. GetUser is clearly a higher order function. The way it works is, call getUser, and then once you manage to get some results, finally you can call getScore. And what happened with the user ID? We got it here. You see? So once getUser is done, the callback function will be executed. And it will be executed by passing an argument, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So user ID will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fantastic. So once we are at this stage, we can safely call the getScore method, passing that number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see if it works. If my theory is correct, can anybody tell me how long will this snippet, how long will it take to complete end to end? As 1 second. 1.5 seconds. I'm with Dan here. 1.5 seconds. Why? Because getUser will take one entire second to be resolved. Yeah? It will take 1 second to run this callback function. And then we call getScore. But getScore will take an extra half a second. So as Dan suggested, the whole algorithm will take 1.5 seconds. So since I press the run snippet button until I get the here is the score for user ID, it will take 1.5 seconds. Let's prove it, guys. Let's run it, see if it works. You see? You see? So that console log was displayed by the getScore. And as you can see, we managed to pass the user ID to that particular function and to do whatever we want with it. So in this particular case, we managed to synchronize our code correctly because we call getUser and then we call getScore. So there is a sequence of operations. The functions don't run in parallel anymore. First we call getUser, and once we finish running getUser, we'll know it because of the callback function, we start calling getScore. So I'm not going to take the risk of using the breakpoints because they may ruin everything, but let's play the game again. So apart from Minji, who already got some points today, so can anybody else tell me what's gonna be the execution order this time? Adam? Mm-hmm. All right. let's leave it there. Panos, I think you wanted to say something as well, right? Okay. Okay, so we got, yeah, of course you can then. Yep. Interesting. So Dan proposed something different here, which is always very healthy, yeah? So we can compare both approaches. Who else? Ian, Ebrima. So who is that? Was it Ebrima, right? Okay. Sorry, that was Ian. Sorry. Sorry. Yes. All right. Thank you. It's not the same. You cannot. No, no, no. That's not fair, Adam. That's not fair. You cannot change your mind, guys. I'm sorry. Well, you can, of course, but yeah. So actually, yes, Dan is absolutely right. That answer was brilliant, Dan. So let's try to understand why Adam's original approach is not correct. So they start following the same steps, right? So the first two steps are the same. 14, and then we call get user free. But now, look, Adam originally said that after line number 3, we call line number 15, and that's not correct. That's not correct. Yeah, you see why, right? Because get score will be called only after we have resolved the callback function. Without calling that callback function, that piece of code will never run. Yeah. So we got 14, then number 3, then we wait for a very long second, number 4, and then after that we'll go straight to line number 15, and then we'll just follow the sequence, yeah, line number 9, and after an extra half a second, line number 10. And that's the way it works. So then you got some extra points this week. Cool, awesome. Questions, guys? I mean, that's it. I'm not going to do anything else regarding this workshop. That's the way you can orchestrate your code. Actually, yes, let's do something else. Why not? We've got 5 minutes, right? So, well, first of all, you got any questions? Yes. 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 Of course, of course, of course, of course. So let the duration. Yeah, of course, absolutely. You can do that if you want. More questions, guys? Yeah. Let's make it a bit more complicated. Imagine that we're adding a third function into this chain. So first of all, we want to get the user, then we want to get the score, and once we get the score, we want to have another function that based on the score tells if the score is good or bad. Yeah, so I'm just making an example in real time. So if the score of the user is above 50, the message is well done. If the score of the user is below 50, the message is you need to keep practicing or whatever. To make it a bit more complicated, I'm going to create an object with users. Yep. Mind that my database has 2 users. So now the idea is, I got this user. That may take 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 minute, 1 year. Hopefully not 1 year, but you get my point. It will take a while. So fantastic. I will wait. Once I got the answer, then I will call another function get a score. And now look, I have another function, and the new function is called evaluate score. So with the new evaluate score function, it will receive a score, and then it will say return, or maybe let's do console.log. Console.log. So if a score is greater or equal to 50, then well done, else keep training. So now, can anybody Can anybody, guys, let me try to get some extra space. Here you go. Can anybody complete this exercise? So first of all, we only want to call evaluate score after get score was resolved. So look at what we did on the get user method. We have a callback function. So let's do literally the same thing here. Let's pass a second argument, which is a callback function. And then after half a second, we'll call it. So here on the getScore function, how many arguments the getScore function receives, guys? 2, correct. The first one is the user ID, and the second one is a callback function. Can do that. Yeah. So get the user, it may take a while, no problem at all, I'll wait. Then get the score, it will take a while, half a second, I don't care, no problem at all, I will wait. And then once I get the score of the user, then I call the evaluate score. Will this work or not? And why? Why not? You don't feel very convinced. So, okay, fantastic. So what will this console.log display? Why? Well done. Yes, and what's the score? Are you sure? Are you sure, guys? Do you agree with Minji? Is the score 67? Who is providing the score variable? Get a score. But what is get a score returning on the callback? User information, are you sure? I don't see anything. As far as I can tell, the score will be undefined. Guys, look, the get user returns a user ID on the callback. Yeah. So user ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what about the get score? Are we passing any data here? No. So we want to pass the score associated to that particular user. Of course, if we display 78, if we hard code it, yeah, it will display well done. If we pass 9, it will display keep training. But we don't want to hard code it. We want to pass the appropriate score based on the user ID. So how can we solve that? Object.values, that will give me an array. Then, and what do I do with the array? It's easier than that, guys. I don't want to use object. Closer, but not correct. Users. You are you're running in circles around the solution, but you are not definitely solving the problem. Users.user ID will return that will return undefined, guys. Do we have any property called user ID here? No. That's it, Minji. That's it. Yeah. Users is a dictionary of key value pairs. The key represents the user ID in this particular example. Yeah. And the value is the score associated to that user. Yeah. So by running users square bracket user ID, in theory, that should return number 67. So get a score will receive number 67, And because of that, 67 is greater than 50, so it will display well done. So let's see if that's right or not. It should take 1.5 seconds to complete. Running, running, running. Well done, you see? That's okay. So what happens if I pass the other user ID? What will the algorithm output this time, guys? Keep training. All right, let's have a look. Trying, waiting, keep training. That's it. So it definitely works as expected. You see, this is a more complicated use case scenario because you get a function that will take a while to complete. Once it's over, we'll call a new function. And once it's over, we'll call a final function to display something. Any questions? Hello? Every single minute of your life. Because JavaScript, by definition, is asynchronous. So guys, this is the classic way of dealing with asynchronous code. And something you probably didn't notice, Adam, is you are already dealing with that a lot. Where? In your backend. Guys, you have a backend, right? You got something like add.get. Don't you have something like that? Are you following me, guys? Is that code any familiar to you? If you think about it, that's exactly what we've learned today. Why? Because what we say here is, hey, please, whenever the user goes to this is just an endpoint, movies or TV show, I don't care, right? Whenever the user requests the data associated to that endpoint, then we run that callback function. It's literally the same problem. Why? Because that callback function will run when? I don't know. As soon as the user requested. Yeah? It may take 2 years since we declare that until the first customer runs that piece of code. But that's the same problem. Look at the getScore method. It's exactly the same code. getScore receives 2 arguments, first a string, and then at some point that callback function will be executed. So that's literally the same problem. App.get receives a string, and then after a period of time, that callback function will be executed. So in other words, you are already dealing with callback functions on a daily basis because that was the classic, the primitive way of dealing with asynchronous code. This is vital. Other question is whether that's easy to deal with or not. It is not at some point. So one of the historic problems of callback functions is if I keep adding more use cases scenarios, I got another function, the code will be hard to read, hard to follow. That's what we call, guys, the callback hell. So let me show you, see if I can find a picture of callback hells. Yeah, it's trying to render some images. Here you go. So let me show you one of my favorite pictures of the internet. If it renders, hello Google. Hello Google. Oh God, this is so slow. It's not Google's fault this time. I will try to manually zoom it. You see, guys? That's a callback hell. You load the link, and then once that link is ready, you load another one, you load another one, you load it. You see, that's a nightmare. If you see that code in a company, just run away. I'm joking. I mean, classic JavaScript works in that way, yeah? But, however, at least the JavaScript community realized that whenever you deal with complex use cases scenarios, callbacks are hard to handle, are hard to orchestrate. Because of that,
JavaScript has evolved, obviously, and now there are probably better ways of dealing with this type of issues. However, it's important, it's vital, it's fundamental to understand how callback functions work, because they represent the primitive way of dealing with asynchronous code. So if you land in a project, I'm sure they're still dealing with asynchronous code. And you know that even though front-end and back-end JavaScript is the same, because of whatever reason, the front-end JavaScript has evolved more quickly than the back-end. And even though in the front-end callback functions are not that usual, in the back-end many libraries are still using them. And I show you the example of Express. Yeah, when you declare a route with Express, essentially you are doing literally the same thing. You are creating a callback functions. So in the next workshop, in a few minutes, we'll have a look to promises. So promises represent an evolution compared to callback functions, but we'll talk about them in a few minutes. Anything else, guys, about the workshop? Okay, now my question is, where the hell is my snippet, guys? I think it's gone. Hello, Google? I'm not joking. Guys, it was here, right? We've been playing with them. That wasn't a dream. Anyway. No, yeah, exactly. That's absolutely bullshit, guys. My snippet is gone. Seriously gone. Whatever. Anyway, I'll rewrite it quickly and I'll send it to you on Slack. So let's do a 5 minutes break, guys, and then let's talk about promises. Thank you for watching.